You're telling a story at dinner. You're halfway through, you can feel the build-up in your own voice. The part that matters is coming, and then you see it. Their eyes. Not closed. Not rolling. Just somewhere else. 2 inches to the left of your face. Their posture hasn't changed. Their expression hasn't broken. But something behind their eyes has quietly shut off, like a door closing in a room you can't see into. And you feel it before you understand it. That drop in your chest. Not sharp, dull. Like the floor shifted half an inch beneath you and nobody else noticed. You keep talking. You finish the story. Someone laughs politely. The conversation moves on. But something in you has gone quiet, and for the rest of the night, you smile, you nod, you participate, but underneath all of it, a question is forming that you won't ask out loud. When did I stop mattering to this person? That question has an answer, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it looks like when someone's respect for you has quietly left the room. Most people go their entire lives without learning to see it. You won't. And the last signal I'll share is the one that, once you recognize it, you will never be able to unsee. Here's why this is so hard to catch. Respect doesn't leave the way anger does. Anger is loud. Anger slams doors. You can point at anger and say, that happened. But respect? Respect leaves like heat from a room. Slowly. Silently. And by the time you feel the cold, it's been gone for a while. The person hasn't done anything wrong. They haven't yelled, haven't insulted you. They're still polite, still smiling, still saying the right words. But the weight behind those words, the thing that used to make you feel like you mattered, is gone. And you can feel it in your body before your brain can prove it. That tightness in your chest, that impulse to talk less, that strange urge to shrink yourself so you don't take up space that apparently isn't yours anymore, you're not imagining it. Your brain processes this kind of subtle rejection in the same region that handles physical pain. That's not a metaphor. That's neuroscience. You're not being dramatic. You're in pain. You just can't see the wound. So let me show you where it hides. Think about someone you text. A friend. A partner. Someone who used to show up in your phone with energy. 6 months ago, their messages had weight. Full sentences. Follow-up questions. If you sent something funny, they didn't just react, they built on it. There was a rhythm between you, a warmth that didn't require effort because it wasn't effort. It was just how they showed up for you. Now, look at your recent messages with that person. You send a paragraph. You get back LOL. You share something real, something that mattered to you, and the reply is, "That's crazy." 2 words. No follow-up, no curiosity. Just enough to technically count as a response. And here's what you did next, because I know you did it. You blamed yourself. You thought, maybe I'm being needy. Maybe I'm reading too much into a text. You adjusted. You pulled back. You started matching their energy, sending less, expecting less, shrinking yourself to fit the space they were now willing to give you. But you weren't being needy. You were watching something die in real time and calling it normal. When someone respects you, effort is invisible, it just flows. When that respect fades, effort becomes a decision. And you can feel the exact moment it stops being automatic, because that's when their messages start to feel like receipts instead of conversations. You weren't reading too much into it. You were reading it exactly right. But this next one doesn't happen on a screen. It happens in a room full of people, and it's so quiet that calling it out would make you look like the problem. The most painful form of exclusion doesn't look like exclusion at all. It looks like a perfectly normal conversation where everyone gets a turn, everyone except you. You're in a meeting at work, or sitting around a table with people you've known for a while, and someone tosses out a question. What does everyone think? One by one, eyes move around the room. They check in with one person, glance at another, nod at a third. A decision forms. The conversation moves forward. And your voice was never part of it. Not because anyone silenced you, not because someone looked at you and deliberately turned away. It was seamless, almost elegant. They just moved past you as if your chair was empty, as if the space you occupy in that room is just space, and you feel something tighten in the back of your throat. Not enough to speak, just enough to remind you that you wanted to. If you spoke up, if you said, "Hey, Nobody asked me. You'd look desperate, insecure. Everyone would reassure you with words that mean absolutely nothing. Oh, we totally want your input, but the skip already happened, and every person in that room registered it. Maybe not consciously, but somewhere in the back of their minds, a quiet note was filed: this person's voice doesn't carry weight here. That's how respect loss spreads. It doesn't stay between two people. It leaks, silently, person to person, room to room. Until one day you realize the space your voice used to fill has been quietly redistributed and no one held a meeting about it. If you've ever walked away from a group conversation feeling smaller than when you arrived, and you couldn't explain why, this is why. Your voice didn't shrink. The room stopped making space for it. Stay with me here. Because what comes next isn't quiet anymore. It happens right in front of people, and that's exactly what makes it cut so deep. You're at a party, a gathering with friends, a casual dinner. You're telling a story, you're 3 sentences in, building toward the point, and mid-sentence, someone starts talking over you. Not because something urgent happened. Not because there's a crisis. They just begin, as if your voice was background noise that finally faded enough for them to start, and the group follows them. Your words hang in the air for half a second, unclaimed. Nobody circles back. Nobody says, "Wait, what were you saying?" The conversation moves on, and you're standing there with the ghost of a thought still on your lips, deciding whether to finish or just let it die. So you let it die. Because fighting for the floor feels worse than losing it. And something warm rises behind your face, not quite embarrassment, not quite anger, something in between that doesn't have a name. But here's the part nobody talks about. It's not the interruption that does the real damage. It's the silence from everyone else. The people who watched it happen, who saw you get erased in real time and said nothing. That silence is the second signal inside the signal. Their silence told you exactly where you stand. Not through cruelty, not through intention, but through the simple, devastating math of who the room considers worth protecting and who it doesn't. You didn't imagine it. It happened. And now you have the language for it. What I'm about to describe next is the reason I made this video. And it doesn't look like disrespect at all, it looks like concern. That's what makes it the most dangerous signal on this list. Picture a family dinner. You mention something you're proud of, a small win at work, a project that went well, a decision you made. And someone at the table, without changing their tone, without raising their voice, gently corrects you. Well, it wasn't really a promotion, more of a lateral move, right? Or you mention a trip you're planning and they tilt their head and say, "That area's actually not that safe. You might want to do more research," said with a smile, said calmly, said in front of everyone who matters to you. And something in your stomach quietly drops because you can feel the room recalibrate. You can feel their eyes shift, not toward you, toward the person who just helped. And if you push back, if you show even a flicker of frustration, suddenly you're the one with the problem. You can't handle feedback. You're too sensitive. You're making it weird. That's the trap. The correction is small enough to deny but consistent enough to demolish, because it was never about accuracy. It was about positioning. Every public correction tells the room one thing: I am the one who checks, and they are the one who needs checking. And over time, dinner after dinner, meeting after meeting, correction after correction, that message hardens into fact. People stop looking to you for answers. They start looking to the person who helpfully corrects yours. Remember the first signal, how their texts got shorter, flatter, emptied of effort? This is that same withdrawal. Except now it's performed live, with an audience, wrapped in a voice so calm that questioning it makes you look unhinged. That's not feedback. That's demolition with a smile. This last signal is the one that changes how you hear every conversation for the rest of your life. Because it doesn't attack what you say. It doesn't attack how you're treated in a room. It attacks something much deeper: your place in someone's future. When someone respects you truly, deeply respects you, they do something so natural you've probably never consciously noticed it. They put you in there tomorrow. "We should try that place next weekend. When we go on that trip, next year I was thinking we could." These aren't plans. There's something bigger. They're proof that when this person pictures the life ahead of them, you're in the frame. You exist in their forward vision. You are part of the story they're telling themselves about what comes next. Now notice when it stops. Not with an announcement, not with a fight. The future tense just quietly disappears from their language. They stop saying we. They stop mentioning next week. They stop building bridges to a tomorrow that includes you. Conversations become entirely present tense. This is fun, not let's do this again. They talk about their goals, their plans, their next chapter, and you're not in any of them, not excluded dramatically. Just absent, like a photograph where someone has been carefully, almost lovingly, cropped out of the edge. There's a word for this, and once you hear it, it stays. Future erasure. It's the most honest signal a person can send not through what they say, but through what they stopped saying. If you've ever looked at someone and felt that strange, hollow sensation like they're standing right next to you but they've already left, you weren't imagining things. You were reading something real, something most people feel but spend years trying to explain away. Now you don't have to. Here's the part that hurts. Everything I just described, the collapsed effort, the skipped voice, the stolen sentence, the gentle demolition, the erased future you've been on the receiving end, you know how it feels. You know the ache. But there's a chance, a quiet, uncomfortable chance, that you're doing this to someone right now. Not on purpose, not out of cruelty. But because respect erosion is almost never a decision, it's a drift. It happens when someone starts to feel smaller in your mind, and your behavior adjusts before your awareness catches up. You reply a little shorter. You stop asking their opinion. You talk about next month without including them, and you don't even notice. They do. So let this video do two things. First, see what's been done to you. Name it. Trust what your body has been telling you all along. You were right. It wasn't nothing. But second, and this is harder, look at the people around you. The one who got quieter lately. The one who stopped offering ideas. The one who laughs a little less when you're in the room. Ask yourself honestly, is that them pulling away, or is that them responding to something you can't see in yourself yet? Because the most powerful use of this knowledge isn't detecting what others do to you. It's catching what you do to others before the damage becomes something you can't take back. If this gave you language for something you've felt but could never quite name, tell me in the comments which signal hit the hardest. Just drop the number. I read every single one, and the stories that show up beneath videos like this are often more powerful than the video itself. If you're new here, subscribe. This channel is about one thing: making the invisible satisfyingly visible. The next video goes deeper. Now you see it.